Welcome to the project for Module 14, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. As usual, don't look at this video until you've attempted the exercises. So we're going to complete all of these exercises for the entire module here. All right, number 1, create a tuple of 3 elements and assign it to a variable. Convert this variable to a list and a set. Okay, so that's pretty simple. 1, 2, 3. Let's make a very simple tuple, and then we'll convert this to a list, and then convert this to a set. Notice if one of the items over here was, say, a list, it could even be an empty list like this, and I try to convert it to a set, well, that would not work. It's got to have hashable objects, so those work. All right, number 2, create a 4-item tuple that contains an empty list, an empty tuple, list, set, and dictionary. Okay, so this is interesting. So each of the items in the tuple are a data structure. They're all the built-in data structures that we've covered. So that creates an empty tuple. This creates an empty set or empty list. An empty set is created with the set constructor, and an empty dictionary is created with a just the curly braces. Okay, so that's how you would do that. Exercise 3, create a set of every third integer from 0 to 100. Then create another set of every 7th integer between 0 and 100. Let's do that part first. So we're going to use the range object here. So we're going to go from 0. That's where it defaults to start from, but we want every third. So it's these start, stop, and step size like this. And we'll convert it to a set by passing it to the set constructor like that. We can do it in one go like that. And then we'll create another set that's every 7th. So A and B are sets. It says find the union, intersection, difference between the first and second sets and the symmetric difference of those sets. Find the length of each of these new sets and use both operators and set methods. So basically we're going to use all of the things, all the operations we know about sets. So union is with the pipe symbol. So these are all of them together. And maybe we could just say union like this, and we can get it like this. We can also write the code A union B using the method, so either one. All right, let's move on to the next one. We can do the intersection is the ones that are in common to each, A and B. Let's go ahead and look at this one. Okay, there's just a few in common because they have to be multiples of 3 and 7, so multiples of 21 essentially. All right, that looks good. We can use the intersection method, intersection A comma B, and just to get the length. All right, let's move on to the next one. Want the difference, so just use diff A minus B. That's going to be different than B minus A. So do these things have anything in common? You could also do it like this, A dot difference, call the method. Let's go ahead and look at these. So that is all of them. So let's look at the length. There's 29, but the original length of A is 34, so 5 of them were in common and were removed. The last one is the symmetric difference, so the ones that are unique to each. So we'll say symmetric difference A, and we use this caret symbol B. And we can also use the method like this. And let's go ahead and output this. So you'll see like the number 21, which is in both, is not in this one. Same with 42. So all the ones that were in common are removed. So the length of this should be 44 minus 5 or 39. Let's verify that, and it is so. All right, that's number 3. Let's move on to 4. Find all the list and tuple methods that are in common. Okay, so this is a little tricky. One way to do this is with the dir method, so the dir function. That's how you can list out all of the method names. So that's really what I want you to use here. And yes, you can just say dir and pass in the list constructor like this. I didn't teach this, but This is just another way to get all the attributes and methods for that particular type. And then we do the same thing for tuples, but I want to find all the ones that are in common, so I'm going to make it a set. So this is much easier by making this a set. And so I could put the word tuple over here, and this is like a directory. So this gets all of the tuple methods. And just so you can list them out and see them first. You can see they have a lot in common, except tuples only have 2 public methods, and lists have like about 10 public methods. So to find all the ones that are in common, we just do this. We use the ampersand operator, and we get all of these. So these are all the ones that are in common. All right, so just a very quick way in Python that does a lot of sort of magic here all at once. Number 5, find all the letters in common to the following strings. All right, so how do we find all the letters that appear in both? Well, we just turn each string. Oops, I need an extra, I already used A, but now I have to re-input it. So I have to convert A and B into sets, and then I can do the intersection, not multiplication, but ampersand. So they all have a space, E, H, N, and the rest of these letters. It's another quick way of doing it. So a very similar solution as this one. Number 6, use the random module to roll a 6-sided die 10 times. Use a tuple comprehension. So we have to import the random module. And to do a tuple comprehension, you have to use the keyword tuple, or you are going to create a generator. So for these, I've been writing the for loop first. So we're going to do 10 iterations. For each one, random.rand int. So we've talked about this one multiple times. We're going to do a 6-sided die. And so that's how you do it. Every time you run it, you're going to get a different set of 10. All right, are dictionaries mutable or immutable? Well, you can change them, so they are mutable. You can add new elements, or add new elements, delete elements, change elements. So I'll just put a comment here and say they are mutable. Number 8, write a function that counts the number of unique characters that exist in a string. Have it return an integer. All right, so this function is going to be passed some string. We need to have it return the number of unique characters. So to get the unique characters, we just pass it to the set constructor. And then we can just find the length of this like this. Okay, so it's just that simple. So let's do one. Let's just type in a bunch of junk over here. All right, so you see we have 12 unique characters. All right, number 9, select the last 3 items from this tuple. So tuples you can select, they are ordered. So T is the tuple. The last 3, we will use slice notation. So the start is at -3. We slice all the way to the end, so there's no stop, and the step will just default as 1. So this will return a 3-item tuple of the last 3 items. Exercise 10, repeat the tuple from exercise 9 4 times. You want to repeat this 4 times, creating a new tuple. Well, this is very simple. We just use the multiplication operator, and this will repeat it 4 times, creating a new tuple. All right, so it doesn't change the underlying tuple. It just uses that sort of as a template to create new data. All right, number 11, write a function that accepts a list of strings. Return a dictionary that has each unique string as the keys and the number of times it appears in the list as its corresponding value. Okay, so this is a little tricky. There's a hint. You'll need to check if each word is in the dictionary first. So test your code with the assert statement. So here's your test data. This is the list of strings that we're going to pass into this function. And the assert statement, which I've covered previously, just verifies that the answer needs to be this dictionary over here. So apple appears 7 times, mango 10, and banana 3. Okay, so if we run this right now, this is going to fail because nothing is happening in here. It's returning none, and that does not equal this dictionary. All right, so what we need to do here is first create a empty dictionary, and then we're going to iterate through the this list of words. So we're going to say for word in words, we need to count this somehow. So if word, if it's in the dictionary, so let's say if it's not in. So if it's the first time we see it, that means the entry is not here, right? So that's going to happen for any of the times or all the first words. But if it's not in here, we need to add this item to the dictionary. So we need to add a new item, and we're going to give it a count of 1. So it's going to have it appear 1 time. That's the first time, right? So as it iterates through this list of strings, the first string will be apple. It'll check this. If apple is not in D, that's true. It's not going to be in the dictionary. We're going to have it equal, put it in the dictionary with the value of 1. So apple will be the key and 1 will be the new value. Otherwise, so if it is in the dictionary, then we can safely look it up, and we need to reassign this. We need to increment it by 1. So we're going to use plus equals over here 1. And that way, the next time it sees apple, well, it'll take its value. So it's going to get it, which is 1, and it'll increment it by 1, and it'll become 2. And all we do over here at the end is just return D. Okay, and that should work. All right, so let's look at this outside just to verify like this. You can test it and see what it looks like. And if we change any of these, then, like pair, of course it's going to fail the test, but it'll add it over here. Okay. All right, so that is number 11. Number 12, the following dictionary maps student names to their grades. Use a dictionary comprehension to map each student's name to the difference between their highest and lowest grades. Let's go ahead and input in the data. I'm going to use a dictionary comprehension, which means we are going to do a for loop. So we're going to iterate through both the keys and the values. Here, key comma value in students.items. So you have to remember .items goes through both the keys and the values. We unpack them right here. So we have 2 loop variables. Now we're going to do something with our loop variables. We're going to take the key, which is the student name, and we're going to find the difference between the highest and lowest. We're going to find the max of the value. The value is going to be one of the lists, or each of the lists, minus the min of the value. So here's the expression part. We're creating a completely new dictionary that maps the student name to the difference between the highest and lowest grade. All right, now one thing I want to point out here is that you can name these loop variables anything you want. They don't have to be key and value. You could say name comma grades. That's more descriptive, so we're going to map, I'm going to say instead of key, we're going to use name. Instead of value, we're going to use grades, like this. Okay, great. Number 13, use the dictionary from the previous example. Using the dictionary from the previous example, create a new dictionary that drops the lowest grade for each student. Take care not to mutate the original dictionary. Okay, so this is a little bit more difficult than it sounds. We can't quite do a list or a dictionary comprehension. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to loop through for name comma grades in students.items like this. I'm going to create a new dictionary, and maybe we'll just say new students. Okay. And I want to drop the lowest grade. So I need to find the lowest grade here and somehow remove it. So this is a little tricky. How do I get the lowest grade? Well, I can just create a new variable, say min of the grades. That'll be the lowest. Now, how do I do this? Well, for a list, lists have we can look at a list. So sometimes what I like to do here is just, if I don't remember the methods for a list, I can just create a list, and therefore I can look at the methods like this, get help from the Jupyter Notebook. The notebook won't know that this is a list. Well, it does here. I think that's just because we we just loop through it. But in case it doesn't know that this is a list, I can create a new, just like kind of a dummy list, and then use this to check the methods. So I see there's a remove method, but the issue here is that all of these methods act in place. Okay, so I don't want if I do it in place, that means it's going to change the original dictionary. That's what it says. Take care not to mutate the original. So if I do grades.remove lowest, it will change it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and show this to you. And so if I go ahead and overwrite, so new students will look correct. So let me go ahead and run this. So you can see here, the lowest grade has been dropped. So that's 55 for Amanda, 98 for Nico, and 23 for Penelope. Notice that they are dropped, but the original also has its list dropped because it's iterating through these grades right here, these lists over here, and it's calling the remove method, which acts in place. So the way to do this is to make a copy like this. So a copy, taking a copy of a list, now you have a new object in memory that's not associated with this one. It's at a different ID. And now I can remove it from there, new grades.remove. And then I can make the assignment like this. So this will leave this intact. Now I have to go back and re-execute this line to just get the original data. So I have this over here. I had to add this copy over here. And now when I do it, so the new students, they have the grades removed, but the old one still have all of the original grades. Okay, so that copy is necessary so I don't mutate the original. Number 14, use a dictionary comprehension that loops through the numbers 0 to 10 and uses the integer as the key and a list with its squared and cubed value as its value. Okay, so this is interesting. So when I create a dictionary comprehension, I'm going to loop through the numbers 0 through 10. Let's say for I in range 10, or really 11 to get through 0 to 10. Then over here, I'm going to map the integer to a list of the squared value. So it's I squared. That's going to be the first value of the list. And the cubed value, like that. So that's all that is. So 0 squared is 0, and cubed is also 0. Let's go to something more interesting. 5 is mapped to 5 squared, which is 25, and 5 cubed, which is 125. Okay, so I did a little bit more complex thing over here. I created a list as its new value, and it is a 2-item list. All right, so that does it for all of the exercises of this project.